Hi! Remember me? Apologies for my absence. It's definitely been a while. See, much of my time is swallowed up by my regular 9 to 5 during the week, and on the weekends, I'm in our lovely deli all day long, working hard to build a sizable customer base. It hasn't been easy. It's been a very rough winter, which in itself has been another factor for my not having made any videos. The cold weather and lack of sunlight seems to aggravate depression in me. DSM calls it seasonal affective disorder, but whatever it is, it just sucks the desire to do anything right out of me. So, I've also been a bit out of the loop with current events as well. Something about the Pope quitting. And who is this Benghazi person I keep hearing about? That was a joke. At any rate, this video is going to be in response to NonStampCollector and a couple of tweets that he made recently regarding Christians who oppose marriage equality. Note to atheists: not every Christian who opposes marriage equality is a closet gay, homophobe, or bigot. Say they are, and you lose. You certainly lose any chance to engage with them sensibly. I shut off when morons mischaracterize me too. Can't blame others for doing the same. Anyway, when I'm trying to say something sensible and you drown me out with the hysterical, overhyped bullshit, you make me look like a dick. Needless to say, this generated a bunch of replies, including my own, in which I asked flat out, just how exactly does someone oppose marriage equality without being a bigot? NonStamp followed up with this. Many are asking what a non-bigoted reason to oppose gay marriage could be. I'd say I can think of two. A real fear, and B, a sincere belief. To my mind, bigotry implies hatred. To say all anti-same-sex marriage Christians are hateful towards gays is far-fetched. I fully and vocally support same-sex marriage and oppose its opponents. I think many of them are fearful and haven't thought enough, not bigots. Many are bigots. Many turn their fear into bigotry and hatred. Not all do, certainly not fence-sitters, the ones who can make the difference. So here's my reply. The only part of that series of tweets that I agree with is the part in which NonStamp states that not every Christian who opposes marriage equality is a closeted gay. I don't think that's necessarily true either, although my suspicions go sky high if they start talking about gay sex at length. But he lost me in the next statement. Deducing that someone is a bigot because they oppose equal rights is not at all a mischaracterization. That's what it means. And selecting real fear and a sincere belief as two examples of non-bigoted reasons is just bewildering. These are the very things that create bigotry to begin with. I would also include that ignorance plays a big role as well. So what is this all about? NonStamp made it clear that he personally associates bigots with hatred and open hostility. But bigotry is about prejudice and intolerance. And treating people in such a manner, even passive-aggressively, is hatred. The idea that an entire section of society does not deserve equal protections under the law based solely on certain criteria, be it their ethnicity, religion, nationality, sexual orientation, gender, etc., is the definition of bigotry. It doesn't matter what reasons are being given, and it doesn't matter if the person in question is otherwise very nice and well-meaning. None of that changes the end result. In fact, the whole deal about Christians who oppose same-sex marriage is that they don't believe that it's hateful to be in favor of restricting the rights of their fellow citizens, because queers, after all, are abominations. And marriage is a religious institution that was created by their God, and children somehow end up screwed in the head if their parents don't have different genitals. I mean, this is what they believe, and they are justified by what's written in their holy book. See, that would be a sincere belief, and it's still a bigoted reason. NonStamp followed up his tweets with an anecdote about a conversation that he had with a conservative friend on the subject, in which he presented some arguments in favor of marriage equality. He conceded that he probably hadn't changed his friend's mind, but he asserted that nothing positive would have resulted if he had just called him a homophobic bigot. Well, that goes without saying, and I don't think anybody would argue with that. But here's an anecdote of my own. My mother's relatives are Jews, And many years ago, when my aunt was dating her high school sweetheart, who would eventually become my uncle, they experienced some friction in the family against the likelihood of their union. Her grandfather, my great-grandfather, would mutter obscenities in Yiddish whenever the young man would come to the house. It's not that he personally disliked him. He just didn't want a non-Jew marrying into his family. Now, did that make him a bigot? Yeah. What difference did it make that his position was based on a fear of the inevitable diverting away from old world traditions? Didn't change the fact that his reasons were still bigoted. It appears to me that the gist of Non-Stamp's message is the old, you'll catch more flies with honey sentiment. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with employing some tact in debates. And while being a prejudiced prick doesn't seem to translate into any terms that are considered polite, I don't see any reason to resort to mollycoddling when people choose to discuss this topic. It's very simple. Either a person is in favor of equal rights or not. And if not, and the reasons are rooted solely to a group's demographics, then it's bigotry. And feel free to ignore it to preserve the momentary peace. But it's never based on indifference, and certainly not love. When you strip away all that condescension and you get to the nitty-gritty of what people like that are actually preferring from their counterparts, which would be a life in which they remain hidden and separated from what is considered to be the ideal and sacred, that's where you'll find the disgust and hate where it's always been.